Coach, could you tell us what happened? And first of all, before you tell us what happened, how disappointing is this when you're trying to get fans, you're trying to get the people out, and this is the first game this happens?
It's disappointing when it's when it's out of your control. You know, when it was in your control. If it was in your control, we'd be able to do something about it. But it was out of our control. It was purely an official's call. Once they felt the Mexican head football coach wouldn't be compliant, they shut it down. When the melee broke out, the Mexican coach lost his composure, stomped one of our players. The officials threw 3 of their players out, rightfully so, and asked the Mexican head coach to leave the field. He refused. They asked him again. He refused. They threw the flag. They asked him again. He refused. The second one came, and they said it's over because the Mexican coach was saying that he couldn't play defense the rest of the game, losing 3 players. With that being said, it was frustrating because the assistant coaches and the players were coming up to me saying, we'll play without him. You know, we'll play without the coach. We just want to play. So we're all disappointed. You know, we're disappointed mostly for our fan base. We had a good crowd, good lively crowd who's enjoying themselves, and they don't get to play. They don't get to watch the second half, which is the most fun part of indoor football, which is the second half of football. So highly disappointed.
Coach, was there talk of getting the second half going anyway?
It was talk of getting the second half going without the officials. I would agree to playing the second half. But the coach wanted the 3 guys that got thrown out of the game to be able to play in that environment. I did not feel comfortable because one of his players literally hit one of my guys with his helmet and broke his nose and cheekbone, and I just wouldn't put my guys in that environment with players that can't control their emotions, because what happens is now if it really gets into it a second time, now you have both teams. I was happy how my team responded. No one left the bench. The Mexican team stormed the field. I give my team, a lot of credit because they held their composure, did not storm the field, even though the Mexican team did. So it's a learning experience, an unfortunate experience. We'll move past it.
Do you guys expect like the league to have some kind of sanctions or something like that against what just happened?
Not against us. I don't expect it against us. What will happen was our player that got thrown out will be suspended next week. That will come down from the league. But as far as this game being stopped, it was purely an official's call, and it purely had to do with the the Mexico side of the field. New Mexican side. It purely had to do with the Mexican side of the field.
Coach,
so it had nothing to do with the Duke City side. It was purely on the Mexican side.
Coach, what about the game itself? Can you talk a little bit about how you felt your team played tonight?
Not happy. Obviously, we've got young kids. We brought in some young kids that are trying to learn the game. They made mistakes out there, not from a lack of effort, but from a lack of knowing how to play the game. We still have a little bit of selfishness that we have to deal with. Certain play calls are going and guys, freelance and stuff like that, thinking they want to make a play. We've got to clean that up. I felt we took the field a little bit better than we did last week, but we've got a lot to work on by the time San Angelo gets here next Friday.
Do you feel that your team may have overlooked this team to start, and then you started getting it together towards the end of the first half?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if we overlooked it. We knew one of the things that we knew was we knew they were going to be tough. I mean, they're tough guys. Those are tough people, hard-working people. And so we knew they were tough. We have to grow up, is what we have to do. We have to grow up and understand the game of professional football from a unit point of view. Our vets are trying really hard to try to bring the young kids, up to speed, but that's a process. And it's a process that, we'll follow through with.
Have you ever been involved in anything like this?
Never. This was a first. Been doing this a long time. This is a first. When the officials called it, they didn't hesitate, man. I mean, they called it and raced off the field. And then the Mexican coaches and team came to me looking for answers, and I couldn't give them answers. Even to this moment, the officials haven't talked to us. They talked to our owner, but they haven't talked to the coaches.
That's it for me.